You are now tuned in to the WRBZR and the CNC podcast. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for tuning in. Enjoy.
Let's get away from here to a place with beaches so clear. Yeah, we can dance with the sun and let it lead us to a distance that we don't go. So take a dive in the deep end with this glass. Leave all of your worries and pain in the past, baby.
Yo. This is Derek Alston, aka Why Not Derek. And this is episode 10. We finally made it. First of all, I just want to say thank you to the people who, daily listen, weekly listen, who tune in on Sundays at 8 p.m. or whatever time they tune in, or whatever day they tune in. But most importantly, that they can tune in, that they do it. You know what I mean? Appreciate y'all. Appreciate everyone that's been rocking with me. And I'm really, really, really appreciative of the people who taught me, things about marketing and different platforms to put the podcast on. Different ways to, make trailers, or so many things that people were just giving information away and normal people would just scroll by it. But that kind of shit I've been more appreciative of. And on top of that, I really have been understanding this internet shit. For the last 5 years, I've been like, damn, why do I look at the internet as a different tool than the people around me? The people around me look at it for, entertainment, and they just use it. They never post, but I look at it for engagement, to be able to impact. That's the purpose of it. You know what I mean? And we're getting different usages out of it. Whether it's the information or just whatever it is that you can obtain from the internet. I realize what I've obtained from that is the same things that I've been able to redirect and then give back out to the internet. You know what I mean? In a public manner, which is like podcasts and art and services that I do for my company and the whole nine. You know what I mean? The whole long list of it. And I wanted to do episode 10 to be about addiction, but how it spin off into or segue into mental health. But I'm like, I did so many episodes about certain things. How about I just do like more about me and how everything linked me to this? You know what I mean? This right here, this stage where I'm at right now in life. And it really all started back when I had the first podcast. And it started when I really wanted to, or even before that, just going on social media all the time and just posting and just seeing how people took what I was saying and using it for everyday life and sharing it, and the attention that got. But looking at what it was doing, though, more than anything, looking at the impact of what's happening rather than just looking to be like, oh, it's 60 likes, cool. No, but also seeing that it's got 15 shares, and that 15 shares, who's sharing it, and then what's going on with them, and then them sharing it, the comments, and, all these things started happening. And then I started seeing how impactful I could be than anything. So then I started realizing, like, yo, you know what? I want to write about my life. But then I'm like, damn, nobody around me's writing. I don't really know how to write. You know what I mean? Like, well, obviously I can write down stuff and, raps and shit like that. And I know how to write, but I didn't know how to write what I was thinking in a story form and it also a story form converted into haikus and poetry so that it's very easily processable. You know what I mean? That the whole point was that let me do this so that I can always know that I put something out there that could impact somebody at any time of their life. If they're feeling like they're down and they don't understand why, just start reading a couple of these haikus and they'll literally revert you right back to yourself. Anywhere else you wanted to be that you knew that you needed to be there for yourself, this will give you right back to it. And besides that, when you talk about accomplishments and accolades, a lot of people want to talk about money. And yeah, of course you make money in the process, but let's just be honest, right? The money that you obtain from that, what do you do with that money? A lot of the times people take that money out and go do other things with it. Me, I usually invest that. I invest it back into it because what's the point of having the money to spend it on things just to not have money to come back to that situation later? My plan was to make 5 books out of a story, out of a 3-year span of life that I couldn't even tell a normal person sitting down, because there's a lot of points where they're just going to want to go back and wait, what about that part? Why'd that happen? How does that, I never heard. And then, you know what I mean? To look at it from the forward, to look at it from the beginning and look at it forward and then look at the end and look at the progression after it, I started realizing so many things. And I'm like, damn, a podcast would be the first, order of business where I could just speak about it. Because I can go on Facebook, like I was saying before, what started it, and just say whatever, and it would grab attention from people, and we get understandings and things like that. But that wasn't the angle. The angle was, Derek, if you want to do something with your life, figure out what you want to do with it first, then plan, plot, and execute it. And then once I did, I did a podcast, and then I was up to 15 episodes, and then life just got in the way, just being in a relationship for a long time, person not being supportive, you're just lost in just everything that's happening. It's a washout. And the best way I can describe it is that until you felt lost in something, until you felt really lost and uncertain and can't put words on it, then that's what it is. That's what love is. If you want to say what's greatness, people always will tell you that was great. Well, what's greatness to you? Is it something being done at a high level? Like the scale and the words and the titles that are given usually don't always have to link necessarily to what that title is. If they say you're one of the greatest basketball players I ever seen, if I'm not talking about an NBA player, no one's going to believe that could be a regular individual civilian, not no celebrity, that could be that good as an NBA star. There's plenty of them in jail, and that have kids that can't do that. Like, there's so many things that we're not appreciative, and I'm sure celebrities are. I'm sure they're not. But I'm not talking to them. But even if I am talking to them, it's a different level of life and a different quality of life that they live compared to the life that we live. So for me, I just kept reaching out and trying to understand things. And I'm like, listen, people don't understand me. And I'm not saying that typically in the manner that everyone says it, like they don't understand me. It's the listen versus the understand. Sometimes it sounds like the same thing, but it's not. It's not. You could be crouched but not sitting. Even though you to sit, you have to crouch, or sit, you have to kneel, or not even kneel, you would have to adjust, or whatever. The things that sound like but are very different are the reasons why I started doing things like this. Because as a person who keeps having these thoughts in his head and damn, why is the world shitty, or why are people shitty, or why do the people make the world a shitty place because they're celebrities and they get a lot of attention, or why this person, because so many questions that when you ask people, they just get burnt out hearing you ask questions, and then you feel like, what is this? What is the purpose? Why am I here? What am I doing here? What is all this shit? Well, through 3 years I was entangled in so many situations that I didn't even know what to do with myself. I didn't know what love was. I didn't know what compassion was. I didn't know what drive was. I didn't know what accountability was. I didn't know if I was sorry. I didn't know if I wasn't sorry at times. Like, it was cycle heavy duty load. You feel me? Like, you feel me? It was on 10. And the greatest part about all of that was when I got out of that, I gave myself enough time to endure all of that I went through. I gave him enough to absorb it because honestly, when you go through a lot of things in life, some people complain and not even complain. Sorry, they embrace those moments, and every time they embrace those moments, it keeps making them feel less to less to less to less to less to nothing, or more to more to more to more to full. And trauma is relatable. Trauma is relatable. Um, Pain is relatable. Creativity is relatable. And viral, empowerment. There's so many titles and words and nouns that if they're thrown on you, you feel like you have to be. And it was like, yo, you're just a basketball player. Why are you doing podcasting? Like, you don't even know what you're talking about. Well, I was talking about shit that I would be talking to y'all motherfuckers on the court about, but we're just having basketball talk. We're just shooting the shit. No, there's valuable information there. Like, why are we just wasting it and just letting it go? Like, why are we talking about ideas that are never going to be brought to fruition? Because that's just that, shooting the shit. Nah, man, sometimes it's got to be more than that. And sometimes it is, and it's displaying, but people just don't want to, they just want to take it for what it is. You know what I mean? And, after that podcast, I went through all that shit. I wrote books. I said, I'm going to come back to it again. And this time when I come back to it again, I'm going to make sure that I have schedules, make sure I have everything ready. I have notes. I wanted to make sure I came back heavy. Now, mind you, the first podcast I did, I think it capped out, the last episode was probably at like almost in total, maybe like 35,000, streams. And it was great. It was great to be able to look at all the hard work that I had put in. Like, yeah, like, I'm giving you exactly what I told you I was going to give you. I literally, I put it down on a piece of paper, said, I want to do this. I want to talk about this. I want it to represent this, because this is the lifestyle that I live, and this is how I can impact the world. This is how it can be a change if the stuff that I'm saying can be ingested properly. Boom. Started happening. I used to always make these segments where I did stuff or I said stuff and inserted in, getting questions from Twitter or getting questions from Facebook and doing polls and doing all these things that honestly was dope as hell at the time, and which is still dope, but it was so unorganized to the point where I was just like, man, I'm doing great. Everything's happening, you know what I mean? Views and this and that, and I looked at life and I just like started like realizing like, yo, I don't know if I can juggle doing a podcast and making sure that I'm on it every week on top of everything that I was dealing with. Like, I skipped 1 week and then said I would do 2 the next week, and the next week came and I didn't do any, and then I was 3 weeks no podcast. The numbers were still going up, but they weren't going up how they were going up originally from being consistent. So then I'm like, damn, you know what? I'm gonna try my hardest on this 4th week to make at least three episodes and maybe 1 video. Letting the community know like what's going on, because that's the impact connection right there. That's how I make the connection. I make the connection by making it on a platform rather than doing 15 TikToks of a 8-minute video because they only allow you to make 1-minute videos. Like, it's wild. The only thing I use TikTok for is for the promotional aspect of it, is because when I show a clip of a minute, they're going to get and understand everything that's happening, but they're also going to want to hear more rather than me keep posting and posting and posting, and I can just give them a link, and we can transport them. We can have them, get the bait, which is the TikTok, and then boom, now they're on YouTube. I don't want the following and the attention to be big on TikTok. I want it to be big on YouTube. And in the means, if it works vice versa, that's cool. They're always going to know that this content came from YouTube, because I'm going to work to get a YouTube sponsorship. I'm going to work to get sponsorships and partnerships in this next year. Work on getting my following back up. Work on getting the interactions back up, getting the guests and getting the studio and the visuals and all that stuff. But I needed to make sure that I could be consistent. I needed to make sure this time, not like the second time. The second time I had 8 episodes out, and same thing happened. I went back to the situation. One of the situations that I was dealing with that made me stop the first time, and it just did the same thing. And this time, I went through more stuff. So it was like 2 podcasts, I had, the first podcast was the Everyday Ask Yourself podcast. Then I changed it. And then once I changed it, it was the After Hours podcast. Then a couple episodes of that, and then I couldn't, it was hard for me, because the first podcast I could just talk about the things that I strictly wanted to talk about, which for the people who had, not felt influence and needed influence and inspiration, and being the inspiration to the uninspired, and this and that, and to the people who are creative, and all this realm of just creativity. Mostly what it was about. Mostly it was about tools, tips, and just advice and opinions and stuff like that. The second one was more about life problems, more about like actual things that happen, like the way that women, started turning into the men, and then they expect to be treated higher, when if men are treated lower and you're acting like a man, that's what you like. That's the thanks you get for being a man. In return, you get that treatment that no one will take you serious. Like, that double standard, it comes into play there. But then I came, and ventured off into life, and I was really hooked on just trying to explore. And I'm like, I'm exploring over here, doing over there, doing this, doing that, enjoying pain, making money, doing whatever. And it was nice. Everything was nice. It was great. I met people, plugged in, did music, did a whole bunch of, connecting with people who were like me, bringing me around that environment, meeting other connections, beautiful women, beaches, amusement parks, great restaurants, whatever entails into a great life, you would think. All of that was in that heavy. Felt like, after a while, I just got to the point where I was like, I need something new. I've been living the same kind of life. I got up, then went to Florida. Lived there for about 9 months, maybe almost a year. Now, within that time, I obviously was hooked on the fact to explore it, the fact to utilize this time to really embrace every single aspect of things that I've thus far learned. Putting it to the test of being out here in this kind of world, in this kind of environment, you know what I mean? And boom, it didn't work. And I'm not mad that it didn't work. You know what I mean? Most people would want to be victimized to the situation of all the things that happened during the time down there. But it's Nora, was it right or was it wrong, or did you do the right thing, or did someone learn from it? Was there any of those, all of that in between that is not being mentioned right now? It's just a simple miscommunication of people feeling that this is one thing that I deal with a lot in life, right? Sometimes I notice that I draw or I attract people who want to be great at life. I'm not saying that I am the great top tier Jacques Cousteau, that guy, pal. I'm not him. But I am him, if you get what I'm saying. Like, I'm not that guy. I'm not that revered person. But I am definitely that guy, if you feel what I'm saying. the entendre on that's heavy because you're like, what are you saying? What I'm saying is, if you knew who I was, if you ever been around me, then you would understand when I say what I'm saying. Because it's never overly cocky, but it's never being too humble. But it's also allowing you to know who I am without giving you any other extra reason to not think that's not me. You feel what I'm saying? So due to that being, I am a creative, a full 100%. Like never, like, oh, the shirt's, oh, you got a hole in it? Let me fix it. Let me do something to it. Oh, I can, and I'm trying to alter and improve not even alter. I'm trying to improve and adjust for people and help people learn how to do the same. Create things. Maybe you're a person sitting at home and you want to do some fucking dope painting shit and you don't know how to do it. You don't know tricks and tips. People, I watch people make paintings and it take them 5-6 hours. When I'm like, if you had a blow dryer or some kind of source to dry the paint, you could have been whipping out layers and the paint could have been done faster. Oh, I didn't even think about that. But when you do something for a purpose and a passion and a lifestyle, you know these tricks and tips. It's like, why would you go to the barber not thinking that the barber knows what he does? I'm not saying all barbers know how to cut, but the point of going to the barbershop is to get a haircut. Yeah, you want to get it how you want to get it, then you need to see which barber does it the best. You can't just assume or look at where the line, But in all of that, I'm saying that in Florida, it just seemed like it was a hey, we want you around, we need you around. Hopefully, things in boom, it'd be this great blossoming gardening effect where everything's just so organically beautiful, but it wasn't. And it wasn't. And for me, it's not about tolerating, it's not about allowing, it's me looking at the situation as if I made a move and I let things go. The same way I let things go down there with so much more foundation, I have to think a percentage of that it's got to be lower when it comes to living in Florida. Because in any time and circumstance, I'm like, why do I got to be here? I experienced some shit. I looked around. I said, no wonder why people only come down here for a couple months out of the year and go the fuck back where they're from. It's cool for the moment. But we're not living for the moment. Because the moment that we're living for, we might not even live to see it. Or we might not even live to go through it. Or we might have already went through it but don't realize it. So it's like one of those things again, the title or the stature, it's whatever they limit, that's how the programming goes, that it gets us fucked up. You know what I mean? It really does. It gets us fucked up. I seen something the other day that said that we need to be vocal about how women treat men shitty and we get trauma from it. And, obviously that's dudes, being the ones that tell it from their side because they're not telling that they did some fuck shit. If they did some fuck shit on the, that they're not telling. But regardless of the fact that, what I really was listening to is I'm like, damn, women get so damaged that they don't want to be around men and males and it's hard for them. But then at the same time, don't realize that happens to us. But for us, we don't show emotion. So they would never know, like the woman would wear it. They wear the heart on their sleeves. And that's kind of when I started realizing, like, from that's that information again, when I was saying before, the information leading to more understanding. The understanding gave me more outlook, like, hey, speak to people thoroughly first. Have conversations with them, understand, learn, and be able to look at the whole array of things before you accept all of it. Before you just hear 8 things, accept 8, and then forget the other 2. And just because they're the last 2, they might be the most important 2. And that's just because I'm only wanting to do what I want to do and only hear what I want to hear and tolerate and allow. And just another part of that is conditioning bullshit, you know what I mean? Because I am selfish and I do love myself, but at the same time, I would do anything for someone that I cared about. I would do something for a stranger. I'm just not going to tell you that I would do it every time. I can't say that I would pick and choose and tell you which days and which days I won't, because everyone has good days and everyone has bad days. But I look at it as like every single day is another leg of the race. It's another leg of the race, and you can do however you want to do that race. If you want to get in the car and drive your mileage to, you're done driving, and if you want to ride on your scooter bike, if you want to ride your skateboard, I look at every day as a ride, or not even a ride. I would just want to say I don't even want to say a field trip, but I just want to say a simpler journey. A simpler journey. It's a journey because a lot of things can happen in a day, but sometimes within days I could look out the window and find clarity. It's because that's how deep my brain starts taking things, and it's not because I'm an overthinker. It's just because I want so many things for myself. Ain't no way I'm gonna be able to explain to you half the things I want for myself if I'm not even sure I can manifest that shit into real life. Sometimes I just get these thoughts and I'm just like, make this wireless TV that has no a TV that has no wireless TV. And I'm just thinking like, I don't think that's possible. I think it has to. But now me talking to another human, they're just looking at me like, yo, what the fuck? Like, but that's just my mind. That's how my mind works. And it's not because I'm a person that has problems with dealing with the TV and unplugging and plugging it. That's not an issue for me. But I'm just saying, just for the cause of it, mobility-wise, or just for whatever purpose, camping, or, whatever it is, homeless people, they like so many opportunities to look at inventions and look at technology and look at ideas and make an equation out of it, make an algorithm out of it to get a solution to be able to do something new to the world and give something new to the world. That's why I started the podcast again. But this time I was way, way more on it. Way more on it. Regardless if I was doing, whatever I was doing, if I was working and then working on the side and then doing hustles in the art circuit and the pop-up shops and the fucking craft shows and the art shows and the museum submissions I've done so many things within 5 years that I forgot that I've already lived a lot of the manifestation, and I still have to re-up on the manifestation, because then when I leave that manifestation back there, as in, it's complete, let me work on my new goal. It's like riding a bike when you haven't rode a bike in 20 years. You got to get on the bike to see if you still got it. And guess what? I don't want to have to do that, so I always keep up on that a little bit. I hand sew a lot of things, and I'm like, the nostalgia is gone of it, but knowing that I can do it is cool. Let's be more effective and efficient buying a sewing machine. 2 of them, you know what I mean? Particularly because I want to learn how to do certain things, and it's not because I want to make money. It's because I want to learn. I'm an artist at heart. Like, I can pick up the microphone and rap. Then I can pick up the pencil and draw. And then I can set up the camera and have it all doing this while I can be doing 8 things and be a part of 8 things with only one person being in, directing, helping, editing, controlling, creating. You hear what I'm saying? And it's not because I'm selfish or I want control. It's because I know how to operate the best like that. I know how to operate the best like that. When I reach out to people, you're reaching out to people only looking at it like, hopefully they can help me. Hopefully they understand that I'm not going to pay somebody to do that shit. I'm not going to go out there and pay somebody to do half the shit that I got the gear for, that it's like, yo, can you just be a part of my team? We learn, I teach you, you become better, then we really take this up another level. And you know what that does for that person? That person's able to go take this vision that he sees me going through, that maybe he's either, or her or whoever is interested in, or maybe wants to do it different outside of this. And then does what? Do it on their own. And that piece of impact right there is the type of impact that I want to be and want to do and want to manifest bigger than all the shit that I'm manifesting. But every time it's become a speed bump when I have to keep letting people know, like, hey, I have ideas. I have a conglomerate in an enterprise that I want to put together. What's it about? Explain what's it about. Oh, so what do you want us to do? Well, I was wondering if you could do this, this, and that, and that, and this, and this, and this, and that. Oh, are we getting paid? No. So then why would we do it? Listen, let me tell you something, man. I deal with a lot of people that are either clients or creators. If they're not clients, they're people who probably got in or are on a mutual level of understanding. Or just we're just friends in the world or associates in the world or we're just mutuals in the world, whatever word or title you want to put on that. And that right there sometimes gets to me because there's amazing people out there, but it's like I can't have those kind of relationships with these kind of people because I don't know them. They're over here, they're over there, and like we live different lives, you know what I mean? But most importantly, what I really learned on this 10th episode specifically, because I took 6 days to reflect from the last podcast, and then I took another 3 days to reflect from that podcast. So when I was doing a lot of this reflecting, the whole point of the reflecting was to really look back and be like, what am I really doing? What am I really happy? What am I really appreciating? What? And then boom, I said, I'm giving them so many episodes about millions of different things, but I'm never giving them Derek the point where they want to hear the shit and hear about the goods, the bads, the ups, the downs, the lows, the highs, the slow, the fast. You know what I mean? This is the shit. This is the shit. The being gone, coming back, doing the podcast, videoing it, you know, the small room concert series, you know, the Derek Austin story, the Creative and Cozy podcast. Why would you not films? Like, I have so many things that usually when a person deals with me, you gotta know that if you want to be number one, you gotta be supporting me so much into this shit that I don't need to look away from this because you're with it. But this is also meaning that to put your dreams aside, your job aside, or your free time aside, or it's asking a lot. And if it's not asking a lot and it's just about asking the right person, then I just haven't met the right person to ask, that it doesn't seem like a lot. You get what I'm saying? So for that, I'm more grateful that I know that that's what this situation has to be. So when I get around an individual and they want to take things to another level, and I just got to kind of question like, hey, listen, I'm an artist. I paint, do business. Sometimes got to go to client's house, look at things, you know, murals, bedrooms, whatever. They want to do something. How can we know you're creative. Can you like CAD, you know, program, do it, hook it up? Well, sometimes that involves me doing something like this for 35 minutes where I'm not looking for my phone. I'm not looking at my phone. I don't even know where my phone is right now. But to somebody who's usually needing of that attention, if I didn't told you 45 minutes ago I was going to be doing this, my phone might have went off 2 or 3 times and I might have been looking for it at this point. But am I going to continue to text while I'm trying to do something right now? No, I'm not. And that's another thing. It's like, hey, if you're around me, know I do this shit. So if I'm doing podcasting, don't be around thinking you want to just chill and hang out and fall asleep. No, you can sleep out in the other room because when you're snoring and you're doing that and you're making noise and you're distracting, I'm wrong when I tell you that this is why I didn't want you to be around. So it's not like a force of things because you have a choice. You can change because you get chances. And it's not saying this in any other way to take away, because it's not that. This is my shit. You know what I mean? This is my, you know what I mean? My shit. I had 2 people try to offer me some kind of a partnership where they would pay for a studio and, you know, they're like, you can create it, you can do all this shit, get the furniture, do whatever. But when we get a partnership, they wanted 75%. And I'm like, listen, it doesn't matter how much money you put back. I'd rather either go get that or figure it out before I took a loan from you, pretty much, for you to do all of these things, put pressure on me when it doesn't succeed. I owe you, with me now being in a space where I'm going backwards. No, when I move forward, I'm going to move forward for the long haul. And I declined it because regardless of the ins and outs, I don't really know you like that, you know what I mean? You're a friend of a friend of a friend of an associates. That's too much reaching out for me. That's Michael Jordan in Space Jam. Literally, and that's dangerous because this is my content, you know what I mean? I gotta show up with my equipment. What if something happens? And like, people don't be thinking about that shit. I asked somebody, yo, you wanna do a podcast? Hell yeah, bro. They be so quick to, yeah. But like, when I'm coming to you, I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna ask you questions so you tell the real about yourself. So if you're uncomfortable with telling things because your mom's on Facebook or your dad's like watching on Instagram or your grandpa's on Twitter, let's be real. I'm not going to ask you to do some incriminating shit. Of course not. But I'm going to ask real to understand who you are so you can display who you really are to people. Because that's the thing. We forget who we are in real life. Then we go on the internet and then we do goofy shit and we do weird shit. And then guess what? They ain't respecting that shit in real life. And then eventually they're not going to respect that shit on the internet. That's why you got to know when to pick your battles. You got to know when to pick your highs and your lows. And if you can't learn when to pick your highs and your lows, just know you're at the bottom because you can't get up. Once you get up, you're automatically placed at a higher level. I'll say it again. When you're down, you're afraid that you can't get up. But once you get up, you're already at a higher level. Just think about that. Impute that in your brain. People say that all the time. I hit rock bottom. I'm at rock bottom. Before you do anything, know you have the power, the chance, the choice, and the change. The change. Being on the ground, getting up is a change. Getting up is a chance. It's the choice. Like, I want to do so many episodes with people who really go through shit. Not to capitalize off their trauma, because I went through shit. So I've been capitalizing off of my trauma first. Before I was ever capitalizing and reaching out for another person to get money off of them. I ain't making money off this. I got ads on my Spotify and I got ads on my iTunes, but it ain't bringing in enough money to be able to talk shit like that. No way. At all. But that's just how I'm living. That's just the way it is. I didn't made it this far. To be able to help people out and let them know, hey, I got a platform where you can speak about that shit. This is a place for you to be able to say what you feel is right, what you feel is wrong, and you be able to stand on that. And we don't got to argue about it. Why? Because that's your opinion. That's why. And it's so beautiful that I could be in this space. It's so beautiful that I could be here on episode 10. Months, weeks. This has been happening for years. I've always had something to say. Was the quiet little kid. Never had nothing to say to no one. Don't touch me. Don't hug me. Oh, cute kid. I'd look away at you like, I don't know you. Got $1? Still don't know you. To now looking at life like, yo, it's really here. Everything that I really want is really here. Everything is in reach. I gotta manifest that shit. I gotta stop looking at it like, when is my time gonna come? Why am I waiting around like they didn't already fucking shoot the gun and the race has begun? It ain't even a race, it's a marathon. So if people are lapping me, that's because they're trying to get ahead of something that never stops. You gonna run your life out. While I found a pace that can keep me on. You know what I mean? Keep me on. Those are things you learn. Those are things you endure. Those are things you experience. That leads me here to episode 10. And I didn't even spend that much time talking. I really didn't. I had so many more things, so many more stories, so many great. But that's for another day. We trying to break. We trying to get to 1,000 subscribers or 1,000 listens monthly. That ain't even to be able to get a check. The check you have to quadruple at. And it has to be consistent watching. That doesn't mean that you just click, exit out, or go back. That means click and watch the shit. Duration of time watched. Yeah, it's a whole statistic sheet. It's not what everyone says. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I want to thank you all for all that you've done for me, my brand, the world, for yourself, and most importantly, because you're able to do it. Right? Just most importantly, because you're able to do it. Right? That's what I'm saying. And the song that we're going to close out to is going to be called Wave by Jack James. I always say that. Jared Jack. And it's going to be called Wave. This is Derek Austin. Why Not Derek? Episode 10, CNC Podcast. You already know what it is. I'm out.
Let's get away from here to a place with beaches so clear. Yeah, we can dance with the sun and let it lead us to a distance that we don't go. So take a dive in the deep end with this glass. Leave all of your worries and pain in the past.